Are you looking at both where the ball lands and also the hang time of those? And if so, how is Moody done in both of those?
He's doing a nice job. I think that, hang time really doesn't matter anymore, depending on what kind of kicks you're kicking. So, obviously, we work on a ton of kicks, different kicks, and I think he's done a good job of trying to place them where we're asking him to place them. But at the end of the day, we're not going to show any of the stuff, and it's obviously it's a very vanilla game plan, everything that we're doing. Just because you want people to know what you're doing and they can see his steps and all that stuff like that, like we all study, versus our opponents.
How big of a moment was that for him, for Moody, the other night?
I mean, it could change his career. It's one of those kicks where, and what I really liked about his response from the 52-yard miss, I believe, I think he showed a lot of character in that moment where he came back and he bounced back and he hit two clutch. The one to tie it, I think, and the one to win it. So, I think he showed the moxie he has and the confidence that he's starting to gain. And I think it was critical for him, and it was awesome to see the kid and how he rebounded in that moment. And, I think what's even better is you see how his teammates reacted around him. And I think that is really, really cool. And I think what a lot of people forget is that, he was injured a lot last year and he went through a tough time and things like that happen in this league, and it's a matter of how you respond. And he faced some adversity and he dug himself out of it, and he's doing a really nice job.
One of the sacrifices he had to make when switching to the two-step was maybe a little bit of distance, but 59 yards would indicate that maybe he's getting more comfortable there. What have you seen in terms of maybe just his comfort level and distance with the two-step?
I think, maybe he's lost a little bit, but I don't think that, it's a ton. I think he's done a really good job. I think he's 90+% since we've been here. I think he's responded well to the situations we put him in. We try to create situations for him, and I really think that the two veteran guys that are snapping and holding for him have helped him a bunch too. I think that he's as a group they're responding. Obviously there's some things to clean up as far as the three of us go. The three of them go, and it's something that we can do better all the time. And so it's just a matter of helping him, putting him in good situations, and seeing how he responds. And he's done a great job so far.
With that conversation with Sky Moore, obviously he's very new. He just got here, but he had the big punt return here recently. Any expectation for him to be utilized in the punt return on special teams here with the Niners?
It's obviously it's so new that it was last night. I'm excited to have him, obviously, because he's a really talented guy. I evaluated him when he was coming out, and there's a reason why he went in, I think the second round, right? And, everything I hear about him is that he's a super good kid, super good pro, and he's a worker. And obviously he had the big return last week for the touchdown, and anytime you can get a guy back there with a bunch of juice, you like it. And so we'll see how this game goes and see where it fits, but I look forward to working with him for sure.
Conversations are you having with Jake when he's going through that kind of roller coaster game?
I put my arm around him and I said, hey man, we're going to come back to you and you're going to win this game, and put that one away. And I think that's what any good kicker, that's a lot of pressure. And when you miss one early, I think that, you never lose confidence because a kid missed one kick, and that be it. I think it was 52-yarder or something like that too. So, I think I think he responded really well, but it's more trying to keep their confidence up and saying, hey man, one miss doesn't define you. So, rebound and let's see what you got here, and dig yourself out of it, right?
Brant, this morning, Lynch went on KBR and he said that Sky Moore's a dual returner. And I'm just kind of wondering, is that with the new rules getting more difficult to find guys who can excel in both kickoff and punt return?
It is, because, I would expect to probably return 70 to, I would bet you 75+% of our kick returns this year. And so, it's going to be a big difference from last year. And so I think that, as we go to try to find two guys that can really do it, and there's a lot of stuff to clean up that we've been running some really, really basic stuff just so we can see who can play. And, I haven't been happy with the blocking that we've been doing that definitely needs to improve. Doesn't seem like those guys have a lot of places to go, but we're also not running a ton of schemes and stuff that we'll run in the season. So we'll see how that goes once we get there.
What are the adjustments for now that a college returner is coming into a different return situation? What are the adjustments for that?
Well, I think that the NFL kickers are so much better than the college guys, for one. They have all the kicks from right to left, right on the sidelines. They have the aim right to pull left. They have the banana kicks that they aim over here and the ball spins and it'll drop really quick. They have so many kicks, it's crazy, and they're not used to seeing those, And then you play a guy like last week where he's, that guy's hitting 5-4 hang times, in practice and stuff to us, and the leg talent is quite a bit different than you see in college. So it's a big adjustment coming from from college to the pros, and all the different kicks you get and stuff like that. I think it's a huge adjustment for those guys back there. But they're, Bergen's done a really good job back there catching them, and he's only had 2 opportunities to even return. One's a 28-yarder or whatever it was the first week, and then last week he had a guy right in his lap soon as he caught it, so he didn't have an opportunity. But I think that that's one part of our game, the return phases, is I want to see improve since I've seen in the last couple weeks. And definitely the blocking has to get better for sure.
What about the format of the kickoff return? Are the holes different? Is the vision different? The timing different?
I think so. Obviously, from what it used to be, for sure. But I think the guys are starting to get a pretty good feel for it as the more reps that we take and stuff like that. And I always say that the returner is the best blocker that you have, and we're trying to teach them how to set those blocks up and everything like that. And I think that's critical for any young player to learn that. One of the best guys I've ever had is Barrios and Andre Roberts. That would set their blocks up really, really well and then make their cuts off of that. And it's no different than McCaffrey doing it on offense. They, the press and cut and things like that. So, it's very similar in both ways.
Is Derek Canteen kind of an undrafted rookie guy, but he's flashed a couple points on special teams? Is he a guy that can, steal a spot on the 53 if he shows well here?
I don't know how this is all going to shake out, but Canteen, I thought, with several other young kids have showed up really well. And, he's a smart kid. I've moved him around everywhere. I taught him PP in 3 or 4 days, and he went home and studied it and stuff like that, and that's hard to do. And he got in there in a tough situation in the fourth quarter where we had to go in and play because we had injuries and things like that, and he got in and did a good job with it. And, he's a very heady guy, and he's a tackler, and he can run. So, I think he has a future in this league at some point. I really do.
What makes Saron Neal such a good special teamer? It seems like he was brought here to do that role, and it's hard to see if he's running with 1s or 2s. What makes him a good special teamer?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I've played against him almost, because he was in our division the whole time, and we couldn't block him. And I think, his overall mindset, and it's the kind of the mindset that we're trying to get here, is that he knows what butters his bread, so to speak, right? And he knows that special teams has been his ticket and for his career, plus a little defense here and there, and he's doing a really nice job, and he's learning the things that we're teaching him, so it's a little adjustment for him, but I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber guy, in the regular season. And, I've had, a Pro Bowl gunner that had some really big problems with him, couldn't get away from him when he was blocking our gunners and stuff like that on the other side. He's so big and he's long and he's fast, he's strong, and he's been a leader so far in our room. So it's been good to get him here, and happy to have him on our side for sure instead of competing against him.
One more, guys. All good?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.